30 years ago, 30,000 companies made 70% of all the world's global profits. By contrast, just last year, only 500 companies made a staggering 80% of all the world's profits.
Do you realize that there will be fewer and fewer opportunities to create small and medium-sized businesses?
Even being a billionaire isn't that cool anymore. There are people in the world who have 1,000 times more. This is really a game that, by the way, very few people play.
This is about big returns. It's about times 20, times 30.
This is a truly unique opportunity. There will be 1,000 new businesses of incredible success will appear in the world. And if there isn't an entrepreneur here who will make it happen, then people here will die.
That sounds scary.
There will be 2 billion people who have lost all meaning in life, like pilots shot down in flight. A dumb, simple way to become a wealthy person. Well, that's our newspaper from the future, Misha. Who's going to do all this? Only your viewers can make it happen.
Dear friends, today is the podcast that we've been working towards for 10 years. It's
The one splitting life into then and now.
It's truly interesting and important. They prompted me because today our guest is Oskar Hartmann. Hello.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
For those who don't know, I'll tell you a bit about who Oskar is. For me, he's someone I looked up to back when I was earning, I think, maybe 1,200 rubles a month or 300. You were already a megastar. There was already Carp Race School. You were launching big companies. You were a multimillionaire after reading one of the books. I think that's how it was, about whom duels, geniuses, and leaders are written. I was inspired by the idea of meeting several dollar millionaires, and you were on one of those lists. It seemed to me, how could I catch you somewhere, keep you waiting a bit? So what did I do in 2018? I took all of Oskar's YouTube videos on the channel. Back then, he was very actively walking around Europe with a GoPro, filming all sorts of smart thoughts. At that time, there was no Charger 5 or any transcribers, so we hired about 10 people, copywriters. I divided these videos among them. They transcribed them into text, typed everything themselves, sent me a huge chunk of text in Word, and I compiled a book from it. I called it Oskar Hartmann's Alpaca Pre-Workshop. I actually found it at home this morning.
Yeah, that's cool.
This is the last copy I have left at all.
It's really an artifact.
I actually gave it to Oskar as a gift when we first met. And here, essentially, the book is made up of all of Oskar's words, all his key YouTube thoughts up until 2018.
I noticed you right away, you see. Because how could you not notice someone with such great potential, someone truly talented, right? Just like that. A person who does something truly remarkable and out of the ordinary.
Yeah. After 3 years, we didn't talk to each other. I saw you at one of the conferences. Speaking at that conference, I approached you and said, Oskar, remember me? I'm the guy whose book you rejected. And then I said, oh, right, there was something like that. And only when I later sent you the cover in a private message did you say, yes, now I remember you. Well,
you see, everything takes time. But now you see, we've already traveled together.
Yes, Oskar and I traveled to Antarctica together and talked a lot. So basically, since the interview was postponed, we have Oskar as our guest today, and I'll join him. I more or less understand the intensity and sharpness of our interview and the questions.
It's not an interview, it's just a chat.
Yes, a conversation.
I do these broadcasts where we just have a conversation.
About the cast, the word bro.
Yeah, from the word bro.
Okay.
Should be like a brow to a drum.
Maybe you could tell us, for those who don't know you yet, I'm sure there are still people like that, 100%. I checked your brand, searched Yandex, Bridge, but I didn't get anything. There are still a lot of people in Russia who don't know you, after all.
Yes, of course, I'm satisfied with how many people know me. It's not necessary for that number to grow. There's this concept of sufficiency, but right now I'm a unicorn hunter in business. Those companies with a capitalization of $1 billion or more. These are simply extraordinarily successful companies that I invest in at early stages, so I'm a venture investor. I invest at the early stage and help entrepreneurs build large-scale companies. I do this on a regular basis. Right now I have 89 portfolio companies in which I am a co-owner in various proportions and so on. I also buy already established unicorns because at the early stage, the chances are low and you can only assemble a small collection. I look at all the companies that have already reached $1 billion valuation. From those, I select the top 10% because many of them are actually not very high quality companies. For example, they are valued at $1 billion, but $1 billion was also spent to build them. You know, there are a lot of those, so I pick the top 10%. I add those to my collection. Consequently, I form a late-stage portfolio, what we refer to as a pre-IPO portfolio. All these companies will go public within the next 2, 3, or 4 years.
What is the ratio among those 80 companies? How many have already grown and how many are still small?
Well, if you take a look throughout the course of my lifetime, I've seen about 130 different business combinations, and 42 of those experiments went bankrupt. These were either companies where I was a founder, co-founder, or investor. If I was an investor, I was usually the first investor at the so-called pre-seed stage. 42 companies no longer exist. Then, approximately 53 different companies concluded their operations by achieving some kind of positive outcome, which spanned across a wide and diverse range of varying degrees of positivity. By the way, that's more than the failures. But in actual reality, the determining factor is not simply the ratio of successes to failures, but rather it is about whether you have a home run or not. Accordingly, the companies that are truly extraordinary are the ones that generate all the returns. These are the so-called unicorns. I was part of a unicorn 14 times. That's a lot.
When a company made a poor exit,
That's a lot. In reality, it always feels like you're going from failure to failure, but then a ranking comes out, they collect all the data. Now everything is open. If you're in a company, you can find all this information. And so CB Insights gathered all the data, and I eventually ended up ranked 18th in the world in terms of the overall effectiveness of my professional work as an investor.
so technically today you could call yourself like if Oskar Hartmann, the investor. That's number one in driving.
That's called a business angel. That's when you invest your own money in the venture market.
Venture market. Can you explain what that is?
The venture market is when you invest in the future. It's the startup world. When you give young people or someone starting a new company a chance, you say yes to them. These are the kinds of investments that exist. Investments in public markets, public stocks, bonds. There are different sectors, yes, real estate, and then there's the venture market where we build innovations, invest in the future, in things that are changing. You say that 20 years ago, people didn't buy clothes or shoes online. I decided to invest in what I believed in, that in the future, people would buy shoes and clothes online. And then it happened, and that's how I made money.
And now I'll tell you how to get this book that I wrote for Oskar. It will never be on store shelves, neither in electronic nor in print version, because in fact, in print version, we only published 10 copies of this book, of which 3 I gave to Oskar and also gave some to friends. I really have only the last one left, but I do have it in PDF, an electronic version. This is a summary with all the key thoughts about the principles of how Oskar's mind works. And by the way, a lot of these principles are for myself as well. I have implemented them in my own life, and I am sure that they definitely form the foundation of my success. I would really like you to read it. So where can you get it? This summer, I launched a private Telegram community for entrepreneurs and for people who want to become wealthy. We called it We Are Anomalies. This is a community for those who want to become an anomaly and create an extraordinary result in their life. And right here, Oskar, on today's podcast, will talk about how there will be such a huge mega trend that people will find themselves in depression. Maybe you even sometimes catch yourself feeling uncomfortable somewhere because there's really no one to share it with. And I thought it would be great to create a large community for people, for those who want to grow so they can meet in their cities, exchange experiences and advice and support each other. And in addition, get the opportunity to access the best business knowledge all in one place for a very, very small price. You have the chance to join our Telegram community, which we called Anomaly. It's a subscription that costs 5,000 rubles per month. And this very book we have already published for all subscribers of our Anomaly community. There you can follow the link, subscribe, and download it. Also, all our reviews, our favorite reviews for entrepreneurs that we started filming. Just now we were filming reviews in Yekaterinburg, and soon we'll have reviews in Kazan. We will also travel through all the cities and glaciers of Russia, and we will publish only 2 episodes on the internet, while 3 or 4 of the most challenging episodes from each filming day will be available exclusively to Anomaly subscribers. So if you want to find friends, entrepreneurs, people who want to grow, join a group of 10 with them, meet every month, analyze each other's businesses, and get the coolest content directly from me, then be sure to subscribe right now and become a member of our community. You can already do this by following the link in the description. These kinds of investments, first of all, are the most up-to-date. Can you share some?
Well, first, here's the most recent one. Last week, I made an investment. It's a network of rehabilitation centers in Europe. The population is aging. People are getting older and older. People don't exercise much. There's an obesity epidemic, an epidemic of people who don't move enough. As a result, everyone's bodies are breaking down. Knees hurt, ligaments hurt, everything hurts. And with each passing year, there's a growing amount of work for rehabilitation specialists. It's an incredible trend, a significant global trend.
Did you notice this yourself, or did you see a study?
It's obvious. I mostly invest in megatrends. A megatrend is something that is 100% predictable for 20 to 30 years. I don't like investing in things that are unpredictable. What will the interest rate be in 6 months? No one knows. But how many elderly people there will be in 30 years is known. It's simply demographic development. It's absolutely predictable. You can just see how the wave is coming, and in the near future, there will be more elderly people than young people in Europe. By the way, the same goes for the CIS.
Russia.
Russia as well. A network of rehabilitation centers is a trend for the next 10 or 15 years to build. This is the kind of business where you have endless demand. This is
A perpetual niche.
There are rare businesses where your limiting factor is not demand. As a salesperson, it's quite difficult for you to understand this because in most situations you work in sales and demand is usually the main bottleneck. Yes, you have some product and you can sell as much of it as you want, but demand is the bottleneck. For example, in rehabilitation centers, demand far exceeds supply. There simply aren't enough people who can do this in Europe. The second major issue we face is that there simply aren't enough qualified people. So it turns into a supply-constrained business where you could open as many locations as you want and they'd all be completely filled to capacity. You're just limited by the fact that there aren't enough people available to work. We're even forced to buy existing centers because it's difficult to open new ones. So you buy existing ones and open new ones as well. Well, the goal is to create the largest network of rehabilitation centers.
A large share is Titan.
No, not there. In this particular business, I don't have that. There, I think I have 3 or 4%. I bought it.
How much exactly?
It's roughly 250,000 euros, give or take
300,000 euros.
the initial stage.
How many times do you estimate this could grow for you?
I think this is a more conservative investment, tenfold. I think a tenfold increase would already be a very good result. This is being done by my close friend and partner, so I'm involved with him in everything.
Okay, that's one.
The second trend is also a European topic. In Europe, specifically in Germany, there are 125,000 companies whose owners are over 70 years old and have no heirs. And it's the same problem. There's a shortage of labor in Europe. There simply aren't enough people. We buy businesses from these types of business owners to smoothly facilitate the transfer of ownership to a new owner and the dedicated employees. So we come to the owner and explain our proposal by saying,
now, let's just say I'm 70 years old.
Years of age. For example, if you have a very cool niche, something like a skyscraper service where you actually repair skyscrapers, you have 40 employees, the company has existed for 35 years, you have long-term contracts and a variety of clients. For 2 or 3, even 4 years now, you haven't been able to find a solution.
What for?
The business. Either you don't have children or your children simply don't want to be involved in the business at all. There are a lot of people like that too. Accordingly, the employees to whom you'd actually like to hand over the business don't have the money to buy it. Let's assume this business makes a profit of 1 million euros. A small good business like this, owned by the family for a long time, it turns out that in Europe there are very motivated people, for example, immigrants, people who really want it, who are very talented and hungry, but they don't have the money to start a business. Starting a startup from scratch is very risky. 95% of such companies don't succeed. The employees don't have the money to buy this business. As a result of this, we become a sort of financial guarantor. Yes, we come to the owner and say, we're buying your business. But over the next 15 years, the ownership will eventually transfer to a new owner. Maybe it's someone from the staff if there is such a person. Or we find highly motivated people and tell them, do you want to become the owner of an already existing profitable business? You can come in, you'll first get 10%, and in 15 years, you'll have 50% of this business if you work well, achieve the goals, and so on, plus the employees. Accordingly, we give 20% right away, a full 10% to the brand new owner, 10% to the dedicated employees, and then over 15 years, their ownership increases to 80%, while our ownership decreases to 20%. Through this specific process, we create companies that are owned by the employees.
What is the benefit for the founder owner of the company?
He sells the business and we buy it.
He can't sell it right now, but at least he has a chance to.
The employees don't have money, they don't want to take out a loan, they don't want to take risks, so we provide it to him. He gets the money right away, retires and lives his life. At the same time, he knows that we won't later sell this business off somewhere or just throw it away.
Soul food?
Yes, for the soul. He knows that it will go to his employees. We gather the whole company and say, this company will be yours. You will all become, here are 15 years, here is our plan. If we do it this way, this business becomes yours. But along the way, we make it 5 times.
How is that?
5x. Figuratively speaking, we buy it for 3 times the profit. For example, this particular business makes €1 million. We buy it for 3 million. The owner gets paid immediately. Then the employees, the new owners, over 15 years, gradually buy out the shares from us for 15 times using dividends little by little.
For 15 times?
So there is an arbitrage accordingly. This is a new form of exit because previously private equity would always buy and sell companies. But here, this is a new form. We are creating, figuratively speaking, if we create 1,000 companies that are owned by employees and new owners, these kinds of new companies. We are solving the succession problem in Europe, at least partially, and this will already be a company worth, let's say, $10 billion. If we make 1,000 such companies, it will be a very large business.
How many such companies have you already bought?
We only started at the beginning of this year.
Second area where money
needs to be poured in. Again, this is quite capital intensive here. It requires a lot of money. But here you hit all the trends. The aging process, inheritance, immigration, and talent. It's absolutely crucial for Europe that these companies are able to find new motivated owners.
It helps the government too.
You can't even imagine how big the problem is. Some of these companies simply close down. Some owners just give the company to one of the employees simply because they can. Out of such frustration, they just give it away and say, all right, I'll give it to you, but you pay me a pension of 5,000 euros a month for as long as I live. These kinds of arrangements happen. My
grandfather did this too. He founded a company for his student to run, and after he passed, my grandmother still received a pension for 10 years.
Then there's a company that I really like as well, what I would describe as a hidden champion. It's a business-to-business software as a service company that does specialized work in...
Also in Europe?
As a venture investor, I mainly invest where there is a venture market. There are investments in Africa, in Southeast Asia, in Japan, but mainly 75% of the market is Europe and America. China is kind of a separate story. But naturally, when looking at the data, the regions of Europe and North America combined actually make up a massive 75% of my entire global target market right now. That's the kind of activity I do. Accordingly, I mostly invest as an entrepreneur. I invest in things that I would want to build myself. Accordingly, I think about what I would like to build. But instead of building it myself, I look for someone who is already doing it and purchase a significant stake in their businesses.
Where exactly does the funnel for these projects come from for you?
The funnel is endless. There are millions and millions of startups in the world. I invest proactively.
Take me, for example. I have money. I have some knowledge, but I haven't started doing this yet. This is also the next quadrant of the cash flow, according to Kiyosaki, to become an investor. So what
do most investors do? They're like wealthy, comfortable fat cats. Mostly, the average venture investor manages large sums of capital from other people, spends their days sitting in a fancy office, and is like, okay, show me what you've got. And startups are supposed to come to him, pitch to him, and he makes the decision. And that's a completely losing strategy. For the most part, they're just lazy. They take money from some people and flaunt their wealth in front of others. I have a completely different strategy. I call it the sniper strategy, because you simply can't look at all the opportunities in the world. The sniper strategy means you think very carefully and specifically about what you want to invest in, and then you actively seek out and find those specific people. I think about mega trends. I think which companies I would like to build, and then I finally decide that this is the niche I'm going into.
I don't know the companies yet or who the players are.
Yes, and sometimes I don't find any. There are
companies.
Figuratively speaking, I did a big sweep. Fast grocery delivery in 15 minutes. Now there are buttons, you press them, and groceries are delivered to you. I invested in 10 countries. In
this niche?
Yes, in this niche. When I made my ranking of countries where this model could work well, it was, for example, countries with low labor costs and a segment of people with money. That's a good combination for this business model. Plus highly developed countries because they simply have a capital market. I ended up with 5 highly developed nations and 5 that are still developing.
Japan, South Korea.
Accordingly, while in Egypt, I found a company that specializes in doing this. In Thailand, I found a company that does this. In Germany, I invested. And then there were places where there was no company, like, for example, Japan. In Japan, there was no one doing this model. And in such a case, I can become a co-founder of such a company. Then I announce it to the market.
How do you do it? Hello Telegram or hello Instagram?
I have important key people like that in almost every country. I have a network of people like myself all around the entire world with whom I am constantly in touch. These could be investment bankers or other people. I tell them who is working on this, but they can't find anyone. And in the case of Japan, I had a person with whom I built Car Price Japan. Later, we sold Car Price Japan to Rakuten, and he became an investment banker. I told him, I'm looking for this kind of investment in Japan. He searched and searched, but couldn't find anything. And then we had a Zoom call. He said, Oskar, while I was looking for such companies, I realized the potential of this idea. I'm ready to close my investment bank, take all my people with me, and build this. I immediately gave $500,000 to start quickly because the team was very strong. And they set sail, and now we have the number one player in Japan.
It's working.
It's working, yes.
A profitable company.
It's not profitable yet. No, not yet. It's very complicated.
Still burning.
Actually, if you look at the numbers, the monthly burn rate there is approximately $500,000 a month.
Right now? Yes.
And
what's your market share?
This particular business model is very complicated because...
Is it like Samokat? Yes.
Yes. It's a very complex business model. The average check is low and the logistics costs are high. It's a long game. When at some point these companies were valued insanely high. In 2021, all these companies were worth tens of billions of dollars. Getir, GoPuff in America, and then the market burst. And now they're worth pennies, they're worth nothing. Right now, we're waiting while the venture market is operating with high interest rates globally. The venture market is very
depressed, and
it's been winter for 2 years now. A total winter. Not just a little bit of winter, but really a total winter, really harsh. No exits, valuations are low. Especially all the companies that are unprofitable, they're worth absolutely nothing. Isn't
this a great opportunity to buy?
You know, I've been doing this for a long time, 20 years. How old?
How old are you now?
I'm 42 years old. In the venture market, you know, it is absolutely crucial not to get caught up in all this temporary market hype, the eternal wave, hype, and depression.
How many periods have you witnessed in your career?
I don't know, probably 4 or 5. I always wonder, is it even possible without this? Can you just do it linearly? Well, apparently nature benefits from this wave. Such a wave is highly advantageous for the evolution of the world. But figuratively speaking, my primary objective is simply to keep the rhythm. You just keep the rhythm, and every season you bring forth new cohorts. Remaining as rational an investor as possible, true to your principles, but that's hard because in 2021, everyone had FOMO. Yeah, everything was taking off. There were new unicorns being born every day. And it was an exciting time of mistakes, when we were all constantly making errors, falling for the fear of missing out, and making investments at extremely high valuations. There were plenty of exits and a lot of cash, so you could reinvest and so on. Now I try to maintain this kind of steady rhythm, regardless of which year it is, just creating...
Look for a megatrend.
Yes, a megatrend.
What do you do? Analyze megatrends. Step number 1. Step number 2. You look...
What kind of company would I like to build?
Or buy?
Yes, that is right. Or well, I tend to only invest in the specific things that I would actually like to...
Build myself. Build.
I had unlimited time. If I could split myself in 2 or 3, I would do it myself. But I can't. That's why I look for someone who's doing it. And this strategy works extremely well.
Okay, that's the second step. The third step, through your network across all countries of the world, you find investment bankers, connections, and look for such companies.
Then you quickly figure things out. For example, quick delivery. About 100 teams around the world were working on it, give or take. You quickly figure it out. All the combinations that exist.
Without models?
Yes. Everyone in the world who is working on this, you can meet with all of them. For example, look, if you have correctly identified the niche, it's a very specific business model. Quick commerce, 15-minute grocery delivery. You find everyone in the world who is working on this. That's roughly 100 teams, figuratively speaking. You call all of them. This way you become very knowledgeable. They explain everything and what to do.
Why did they tell you this? All of it?
They're all looking for money and need some.
Money. As an investor, say I'll invest. Tell me about your business model.
Yes. You listen to all of them and then make your 10 bets. You can figure out this market. For example, when people say the opposite is mistaken behavior, that is exactly when you say, I'm going to invest in the world of crypto, but there are tens of millions of crypto projects and you just can't figure it all out. You can't look into them. If you say right now I'm investing in Copilot, for lawyers there are 200 teams in the world, you can get a handle on this topic. If you say I'm investing in crypto, you can't figure it out. Your approach will just be a random walk, as they call it, a random selection from some people you happen to meet. Accordingly, I never invest in a black box. And you?
How much?
Well, just a little bit, just for fun, 0.01%.
And what do you keep your money in?
Well, if you look at where all the capital in the world is currently kept, all of the actual money
in the world, in companies, not just in companies.
It's known where all the money in the world is kept, all the capital in the world. It's known where it is. Well, on average, of course, 60% of people's wealth is in real estate. The main store of wealth is real estate. The real estate you live in, commercial real estate, and so on. But as a person becomes wealthier, real estate holdings make up a smaller portion of their total assets, of course, and instead, shares in companies begin to take up a larger share. High quality companies, they protect your wealth from the effects of inflation as well. And they work. The money works. It's not just a chunk of gold lying around that you also have to guard. A chunk of gold has a consistently negative yield, meaning it generates no cash flow. It might go up in price, it might go down, but there is a storage cost involved. I don't like such assets. I don't like crypto either, because it will either go up or go down, but along the way, it doesn't create anything.
People who say, Oskar, there won't be more Bitcoin, there will be less and less, and demand will be higher and higher. Obviously, there is growth, I agree. There are some alternative cryptos that are unclear, Chinese ones, scam coins.
You can buy a bunch of them. There are limits.
Bitcoins, Ethereum and Bitcoin are the key coins.
However, having said that, it's a highly speculative financial asset. It does not actually produce anything by itself. Value. It's not a productive asset. It's simply, it goes up and down. A speculative asset, not a productive asset. If you buy, for example, some commercial real estate, there's rental income every month, and the value can go up or down. And if you buy Bitcoin, yes, now you can put it somewhere to earn money, but that's already something else. That's an investment from an investment. The asset itself is not productive. I don't like non-productive assets. I personally don't really like them. Accordingly, if you look at people like me, the vast majority have around 50 to 60%. Most often it's one company, a very good company. It's just that there is an incredibly small number of these truly exceptional and high quality companies. There is a very small number of truly great companies out there. If you're lucky and you find one, if you find a really good company, you just need to steadily continue to increase your position. Just keep increasing, because opportunities like this are so exceptionally rare to find. Believe me, I look at unicorns. Each and every day I have calls, at least 200 calls a year, with different entrepreneurs who pitch their ideas to me. And I also have about 100 calls with unicorn founders, those who have already built their companies. I can tell you that a staggering and massive number of these unicorns are truly and fundamentally, these are bad companies. They have a toxic internal culture and they demonstrate poor value creation. In reality,
can you elaborate on what bad culture means?
There is no long-term thinking. Everything is speculative. Right now, for example, everyone has jumped on AI, the AI trend, inflate a bubble and sell. The founder and the top management team do not possess a clear long-term strategic vision. It is simply not their life's work. Consider a very good example. When remote work emerged as the coronavirus hit, at least 10 brand new unicorn companies appeared in the world because a new problem arose. Your employees are now scattered all over the globe. One person might be working from Thailand, someone else is in Israel, and someone is elsewhere, and you still need to pay them their salaries. And companies appeared that said, just transfer the money to us, and we will handle all your employees no matter where they are. We will fully comply with all local laws, and we will solve the entire puzzle for you. A solution for you. Companies like Deal, Rippling, and so on, 10 unicorns appeared. While everyone was complaining, oh, coronavirus, it's a problem, 10 companies with a capitalization of $1 billion appeared in just 2 years. They all do the same thing.
Did you catch them?
I didn't catch it, but I already caught it when they were older. Well, when they became $1 billion. Now they exist. Gusto, Deal, Rippling, and so on. All these companies exist. I missed this trend. I was already buying at the $1 billion level. Yes.
I need to choose for what?
I'm a collector. So
it's not about the money? It's not about the income?
I think the return on this asset class will be 25%. High quality companies. I'll talk separately about this trend now, why I'm investing in it.
Yes, that's interesting. It's not like
money making. Oh, it is really good money making.
Yeah.
It is much better than at the very beginning stages. At those early stages, that is truly a classic example of the survivor's bias.
So if you take just one Oskar Hartmann, who only invested in companies that made $1 billion, where there's a mega trend, a 20% return, and only bought those and lived like that for 20 years. And the second one, who builds his entire capital like this, half of it, following Oskar Hartmann's mindset, is looking for venture investments. I
think the first one ends up with more.
The first one is richer?
I think so, yes. I need to carefully select out of 10 which one to add to my permanent long-term collection. And naturally, some of them reach